live. Always got to give those couple of seconds, wait for people to log on. So yesterday was crazy. I thought I would come, I want to tell the story because I just love to share my experiences. Crazy or standing up for yourself, right? When you see a woman overreacting and we're like trying to defend ourselves, but no one really knows the situation, and you just see this woman just kind of being a little loud and I don't know, I guess you can say aggressive, and the other person's like, man, she's being dramatic. So I kind of was stuck in that situation yesterday. Was I being overreactive or was I signing up for myself? So we were at Barnes & Noble yesterday. Took my kids to look at some books. And I'm wearing my hat really low, like covering my eyes, my backpack. I was kind of in this state of mind of like, leave me alone. Like I was in a completely different world. And I'm in this corner reading my book while my kids are out, shopping in the kid area. And I see this guy approaching people selling a product. So he approaches a couple that's next to me. And the couple had said, no, I'm not interested. But he's giving this whole 5-minute speech on what he's selling. And then the couple said, no, I'm not interested. And then he ends up approaching someone else that's like a couple of steps away from me, a male. And he gives a whole speech to the guy. But the speech he's giving is like 10 minutes of what he's trying to sell. So the gentleman's like, no, not interested. And when I see him taking a step forward towards me, I get up from the floor and gather my things and I'm starting to walk away. And I lower my hat even lower so he doesn't approach me. And it's not that I was being rude, but I'm allowed to have my space. I'm in a bookstore in complete silence, wearing my hat low. You kind of know your audience. You don't want to be bugged. You don't want to be talked to. So I'm in my own mind, like just my own world. So this guy starts approaching me and he said, excuse me. And I said, I'm not interested. And he said, you don't even know what I'm going to say. And I look back and I'm already down an aisle. And while he's at the end of the aisle and I'm already halfway down the aisle. And he said, you don't even know what the, F I'm going to say. And I look back and I'm like, I really don't care. I just know that I'm not interested. And then he ends up walking away. But when he walks away, he says, F you. So I'm looking around because everyone is hearing him say that. He's cussing up a storm. He's kind of giving me this whole attitude. And I'm walking away and a lot of people were at the bookstore yesterday. And I kind of looked around and everybody looked at him and the way he was speaking to me. And when he started to approach me. And I started to walk away. So it took a couple of seconds in that aisle. I was like, wait a second. I can walk away, or I can make a big scene, or I can defend myself. So I approached him. I went back around the aisle. I went back to where he was at. And it was a big open area. It was where the cafe area was. And I approached him. I said, excuse me. Don't ever speak to a woman like that. And then he said, I'm trying to sell some. You walked away. I said, I have every right to walk away from you if I choose to. I said, I'm not interested. And then he still said to me, you don't even know what the F I was going to tell you. I said, it doesn't matter. You do not speak to a woman like that. You don't know me. And by the way, I had lost my voice yesterday, so I was nowhere near loud. I could barely even speak. So it was just heard when I was talking because my voice just wanted to be out, just loud. And I couldn't even get to that point. So I know that it wasn't loud. But what I do know is people around me all over, men, women, even the cashier, everyone around me was looking at me and looking at him. So you saw this grown man approaching me and he's staring and he's just like, stand strong. And he kind of moves forward a little bit, like if he's trying to intimidate me, like scare me in a way. So I looked straight into his eyes and I said, what part did you not understand when I told you I wasn't interested and you continue to cuss at me? So I wasn't going to walk away. And I don't know if he was going to or not, but I know that I was not going to walk away. So I'm staring him straight into the eyes. And he finally kind of walks away. He said, all right, fine. And he walks away. And I wanted to ignore everything, but I stood there and I still looking around and I can just feel eyes on me, like pure judgment. No one had no idea what he had said to me in another aisle or in the aisle that I was at. Because now I was in a different location where the cafe was just staring at me. So what I thought, do people think that this is somebody that I'm in a relationship with maybe? And I allow myself to be spoken to this way? Or were these people judging me like, wow, that girl is angry? I don't know where any of this was coming from, but I do know one thing. The people who did hear him cuss at a woman, a complete stranger, salesman, didn't say anything. They were just as afraid as I was. No one stood up to say something. So I go to the customer service and I said, I need a guy kicked out. This gentleman came up to me. I don't want a salesman to come up to me when I'm in peace and Barnes & Noble trying to read a book and complete silence. He followed me. He cussed at me. Now he's in the kid area. So I need him removed from the store. So I'm going to look for my girls. Like I'm concerned because I saw him walk towards the kid area. So I'm like, let me go get my kids. So as I'm walking towards the customer service, by the way, the two gentlemen there saw the whole scene. They didn't even bother to say, ma'am, are you okay? What's going on? They were even afraid of him. They turned their backs on the situation. And until I approached customer service where they're like, oh, let me be attentive to this woman who needs our help now. Because now she said something. So the guy said, well, what does he look like? And I wanted to tell the customer service, you know damn well what he looks like. Because we made the whole scene right in front of the customer service in the cafe. So now you're trying to turn a blind eye like we didn't see anything. But okay, he had braids and I need him out. Tall guy, I need him out. So the guy said, okay, we'll go find him. They didn't even ask me because they already knew the situation. So immediately when I was done with that conversation, I go and I start looking for my kids. And I see my husband passing by and he said, he sees me frantic, like what's going, like, and I wasn't making a big, like, I was just like, he saw me looking for, like, just walking past him. He goes, hey, I'm right here. Like, what's going on? I said, find the girls. We need to get out of here. Get the girls now. And he goes, what happened? I said, a gentleman just started cussing up a storm at me and I need to get out of here. And I wasn't wanting to get out of it because I was scared. I was wanting to get out because I wanted to rip the guy apart. So I'm looking for the kids and my husband's like, where is he? And it's like, first and foremost, I don't need you to stand up for me or stick up for myself because you have no idea what I had just done right now. But I'm looking at him like, hey, just look for the kids. So he's like, okay, gotcha. So the kids were already at another table. We saw them from a distance. They were safe. They were reading their books. And he said, they're right there. I'm going to go get them. But at that moment, and the gentleman, we saw him crossing us. And he comes up to me wanting to apologize to me. He says to me, and I took his apology. But let me explain before that, when he comes up to me, my husband said to him, he was about to say something to him. And the gentleman said, hey, like, I'm going to apologize to her. He said, I should have never spoken to you like that. But what I'm selling, I'm passionate about on the product I'm selling. And I looked at him and I said, what I'm passionate about is people like you talking to women disrespectful. No is no. And he's just staring at me like, I messed up. And the reason why I took a stand was because if he's talking to a complete stranger, how is he showing up at home? With his mom, his sister, his wife? I don't know. How are you treating people? I get you're passionate. You must be selling that like 9 hours now and maybe you're getting bad luck. But you have no right to talk to someone that way. And as salespeople, man, it has to be a frustrating job. I get it. I'm in sales myself. But love what you do. Because that hateful attitude goes towards strangers. Because they don't want to stop to listen to what you have to say. So I looked at him and I said, I get you're passionate for whatever product you're selling. I don't know. And frankly, at this point, I don't even care. But I'm passionate about defending women, standing up for themselves. And you will not talk to me like that. He said, I get it. And I said, and I shook his hand. I said, nice to meet you. I'm Carla Araujo. Don't speak to women like that. He said, I get it. And I said, but I need you to leave the store. So then he walked away. And my husband was like, I didn't have to do anything. I said, no. I had to handle the situation as if you weren't there, if you weren't my partner. I had to stand up for myself and my kids. You were like the last person on my mind. One, it was I'm going to defend myself and I'm going to go look for my girls. I reacted as if I didn't have a spouse because some of us don't have spouses. There's women out there that don't have spouses and you need to stand up for yourselves. And yeah, sometimes do we need to make a big scene and being dramatic because that's what the other people see? Maybe we do. And I remember there was a time when I used to own a retail store, a UPS store, and I got robbed once. And I remember the embarrassment of it all. I remember showing up the next day at the store and I had my little baby and a car seat. And I remember walking in with the car seat in my hand, my coffee in my purse in the other, and I walked into my store and it was just broken into. It was just the back door was kicked out. I mean, it was just a big mess. I just got completely robbed. So I called the police. I did the whole thing. But I remember the embarrassment of it all. Like, wow, my store just got robbed. This is embarrassing. These emotions that were like, it was weird on some of the emotions I was feeling. I shouldn't even be feeling that. And I felt like at that moment, why am I embarrassed at Barnes & Noble? Why am I feeling the brunt of this? And I felt like the people who were looking at me thought I was probably in a relationship with this guy or something. I don't know what they were thinking. Or maybe this woman's being dramatic or overly dramatic, but they didn't hear him cussing at me several times in the aisle. They didn't see that part. They just saw a woman standing up for herself. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they saw, I don't know what they saw. But the last thing that should have been on my mind was people around me. That should have been the last thing on my mind. But hey, I'm human. And I know some of us react that way, like we're in fear of sticking up for ourselves because we don't want to be the overdramatic woman, the one that starts a scene. So then I want to look over and be like, okay, so you audience out there, tell me when I should protect myself or stand up for myself. But I didn't. I took action. And I was like, whatever's going to happen, I don't know. People are crazy nowadays. I don't know if he could have done something horrible. I didn't want. He was so pissed off. I don't know what could have happened. But I know I wasn't going to wait and run away. So going back to my store, I remember getting robbed and I remember having this fear like, man, I have my kid. I can't walk into the store. Let me call 911. And when I did, and the police officers showed up, I felt like I was being questioned, like, who owns the store? I own the store. We have your child in your car. Don't worry about my child and a woman owning the store. Take care of the situation at hand. I got robbed. But I remember just feeling this embarrassment. I remember we used to be next to a Starbucks. And even the management from Starbucks came over. And like, what happened? And it was just question after question. And like, all they worried about was a scene, not the fact that I just got robbed. But I was embarrassed. So for the next couple of months, in the next couple of months, I just remember having to show up at the store, being afraid that these, I don't know, who robbed me were going to come in. So I remember this. I was closing up the store about 8, 9 o'clock at night. I was by myself. And I remember these guys had walked in. These 4 gentlemen walked in, and they were looking for some boxes. And I said, by a certain time, I was no longer selling boxes just because if I was the only one on staff, I wasn't going to go to the back and look for boxes. So there's these gentlemen and they're like, well, we need so-and-so in these sizes. I said, we're not selling boxes anymore. And he goes, well, I thought you closed at 9. I said, well, yeah, and I couldn't say, hey, I'm by myself in here. I'm not going to go to the back while you 4 gentlemen are up here. It's just like, I'm not selling boxes. And I remember this guy just cussing up a storm at me and just going off at me, like, just calling me names after names after names because I wouldn't sell him boxes. He was insane. It was the dumbest situation ever. At that moment, I thought my life is at risk here over boxes. So I asked the guy if he can please leave. He said, I'm not going anywhere till you give me those boxes. I don't know how it all turned out, but I just remember them slamming things on the floor, and then they ended up just leaving after 20 minutes of us arguing in that store. I was up on myself. And I remember there's so many customers walking by because we were literally next door to a Starbucks. I remember customers getting their coffee, kind of looking in, like, what's going on in there? And then just getting in their car. And I remember people just walking by, and I'm hoping, like, somebody help. Somebody come in. Well, at that moment yesterday at the bookstore, I didn't look around like, hey, somebody help. I looked around like I'm taking control of this shit. But that was like that adrenaline that came through me, like, hold on a second. I was going to ignore the situation. But no, I got to stand up for myself. And the moment that I got robbed and the moment that those men walked in there a month later, throwing all these things all around the store, it was like, my husband wasn't around. I didn't call him to come and protect me. I had to handle shit on my own, just like I did yesterday. But some of us are sheltered. Some of us look around for that help, and we become these little girls. And oh my gosh, take a stand for yourselves. Regardless if you make a scene or people are looking at you like you're being dramatic. Yeah, we are dramatic. So what? Stand up for yourselves. Don't feel because you're married, you're going to look over and say, hey, can you come help me, honey? Where are you? That was like the last thing on my mind. So by the time my husband stepped up, I was like, bro, I got it. Don't worry. Because if he wasn't around, then what? Because I was at that situation many years back, years ago. When I got robbed, I was like, oh my gosh. Hey, can you close the store with me? No, I can't. I got to do shit too. I'm like, damn, I got to protect myself. And I did protect myself, but it was just like in this fear of like, I can't fight back. But yesterday, I did. I fought back. And even when he was just like, move that little shoulder move, I was like, punk, you don't scare me. I don't care how big you are. You might beat the crap out of me, but I'll sure as hell put up a fight. Anyway, I'm out. Thought I would share that with you guys. It was an incredible time because I thought it was awesome that, yeah, could have seen, what was the scene cost? I don't know what people were looking at. But at the same time, I was so proud of myself that I took it under my own wing and said, you know what, I'm going to take care of him right now. Look straight into the eyes. Like, what? And all he can do was like, oh, shit. I talked to the wrong woman today. Yes, you did. Everybody have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Carla Araujo would do the work. Bye.